Okay, next slide. Okay, good evening. Welcome and thank you for participating and attending tonight's Town of Warren Candidates Night. It's actually a pretty decent turnout. We had this last year, and this is a much better turnout. And of course, through the power of local cable access TV, many more will get to see this either live tonight or over the next several days before the election. I am your moderator for tonight's event. My name is Joe Salvador. I'm an 8th grade teacher here at Quabog, and I'm a neutral moderator because I do not live in the town of Warren. And to start things off, we have 9th grader Stella Parquette to read and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you could all rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Stella. Last year at this candidates debate, we had Mark Karen, who ran and successfully won for a position of housing authority. Mark, as you know, passed away last year. So in recognition of his contributions in continued life of public service, we're going to observe a moment of silence. Thank you. Next slide. To make a connection between what we do in the classroom here at Quabog and what you candidates are demonstrating in live action tonight, we have a few slides and some students to talk about those connections. So first up, we have 8th grader Gemma McDonald to talk about Cincinnatus. Gemma, come on up.
In civics this year, we learned about the story of Cincinnatus. Cincinnatus was a retired general from the army of the Roman Republic. When the Republic was under attack, the leaders asked Cincinnatus to leave his farm and lead the army. Under Cincinnatus, the army repelled the invaders and saved the Republic. To show their gratitude for his service, the leaders wanted to give Cincinnatus full power and crown him emperor. Cincinnatus declined the power and went back to his farm. Our founding fathers admired the Roman Republic and the civic virtues of Cincinnatus. General George Washington is often referred to as American Cincinnatus because he too refused twice the offer to accept additional power and retired to his estate at Mount Vernon. Washington put the common good of the nation and its republic principles ahead of his own personal gain. We recognize that tonight all of you running for an elected office are doing so with the common good of the town of Warren in the forefront. These elected town government positions will require much of your time and effort with a financial composition that does not match. We admire your willingness to serve in local town government and your example of civic virtue. Thank you.
The next civics connection is the Northwest Ordinance and Free and Public Schooling, and this is 9th grader Mariah Lamonda. Mariah, come on up.
The Founding Fathers also recognized that in order to have a healthy democracy and Republican form of government, we needed a population that actively participated in that government. A population that could read, write, and make informed decisions based on their own understanding. This is why in the Northwest Ordinance of 1787, the sale of the 16th selection of land would be dedicated to funding a free and public education. This act created thousands of one-room schoolhouses throughout rural America that would educate the nation's youth and give them the tools needed to be active citizens in our republic. The free and public education that provided also became one of the magnets that pulled immigrants from Europe, where only the rich could afford the private schools and tutors. Immigrant parents knew that the free and public education that America provided was a way for their children to improve their lives. Tonight's Candidates Forum is a way for the voters to be informed about the candidates and decide who they will vote for on May 5th.
And our final classroom connection to tonight's evening is going to be read by Julia Quiroga, and that's on freedom of speech. Julia?
Our First Amendment guarantees and provides freedom of speech. It is this freedom of speech that allows citizens to freely speak their opinions, petition the government, and peacefully protest without fear of retribution. This is something that is not allowed in many countries. Artist Norman Rockwell captured this scene in a painting that was used to illustrate Franklin D. Roosevelt's Four Freedoms speech. What each of you will be demonstrating tonight is freedom of speech, guaranteed by our First Amendment. Freedom of speech is the first ingredient needed to create a healthy democracy and representative form of government. Thank you all for being here tonight and having the courage to enter the local political arena, exercise your freedom of speech, and show a willingness to be an active participant in your town government.
All right, a bit about the procedures of how this will operate tonight. So each candidate will come up, and if they're running unopposed, they'll just be here on the stage by themselves. If there's a competition, both or several candidates will come up, and we'll go one at a time. You'll have a chance to make a statement about yourselves, the position you seek, and why the voters should vote for you. We'll give you about 5 minutes for this, give or take. Stella is going to be timing that. And then from there, I'll open it up to the audience for general questions. And just like a selectmen's meeting or any town meeting, those questions will run to me, the moderator, then to the candidate, back to me, and then to you. So like a triangle. So we're not doing a direct personal connection, but like a triangle. Okay? And then I also, as a moderator, have prepared several questions that I could ask the candidates, and they received those ahead of time, so they should be prepared with some statements about that, which would just allow them to expand more on why they should have that office. Okay? So at the end, we can again open it up to other questions that have come up throughout the night, and then we'll probably, like everyone, stick around. We'll do a group picture as well. Okay? All right. So. All right, so we're going to go in order of these slides. And our first candidate, if they're present here tonight, we're looking for a town moderator, 3-year term, Dario Nardi. Dario? Okay. All right, moving on. Board of Health, 3-year term, Travis Baker. And Travis, you just have to turn on the mic there.
I hope I know how to use it.
I'm sorry.
All right, so most of you already know me as the cable guy. My name's Travis Baker. I've lived in town going on 11 years now. I spent the last year on the Board of Health. I ran to fill out a 1-year term. I'm looking to continue that again. I work in healthcare, so that branches into public health, which is what the Board of Health is all about.
Okay. All right. Are there any questions of Travis from the audience? Feel free to ask. Yes.
No, I strive under pressure and, well, I don't have hobbies, so this is kind of my hobby. My wife will tell you that.
Thank you. Anyone else? Again, please direct your questions to me, and then I'll send. But I know that seems awkward, but it's how it operates. Anyone else? General questions? Yes, Ray. Thank you. Travis, the biggest issue facing the Board of Health?
I think our biggest issue right now is a lot of regulations that should have probably been put in place years and years ago, never been put in place. Just recently we had a public hearing for tattoo and body art regulations, something the town hasn't had. We haven't had any place move in, but if somebody were to suddenly move in today, they'd be able to open up shop completely unregulated, because Board of Health has, in the past, hasn't kept up with current trends and regulations that should have been updated over the years, so.
Okay. Anyone else from the audience with a question for Travis, Board of Health? Okay, I'll just follow up with one that I had prepared, which is, Travis, what would you have as a priority on the Board of Health? And maybe you spoke a bit about it with Ray's question.
Biggest priority is, getting up to date with, many regulations that we're behind on, tobacco regulations, body art, are some of the latest ones. And I think public education is probably the next biggest importance. And it's one of, things Board of Health is responsible for, is being able to educate the public and provide resources to them. Most people think that as a board we're there to just enforce regulations, but that we're more so there to educate and guide people along and point them in the right direction, not just regulate things.
Okay. Yes, Derek.
I would like to ask, the Board of Health work in conjunction with the building department in many issues, where the building department, the stops at the door and he looks at everything outside of property, and Board of Health looks at inside the property. So I would like to ask if he has a good connection with the building inspector.
Okay. So Travis, again, just to that question, your working connection with building inspector on a lot of these issues?
Currently, I don't know the building inspector very well. That is something that can be easily changed. I'm happy to, work with them more. I think it's also a lot of working together with the health inspector themselves too, that something we can work on. Okay.
All right, Travis, I thank you for breaking the ice as well and being first up here. So let's give
Thank
Travis
you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to another position. Planning Board, 5-year term, Karen Wood. Is she here tonight? Okay. Moving down to Housing Authority, a 2-year term, James Dusty.
Hi, can you hear me? All right. My wife was afraid I'd fall down going up the stairs, but I won the bet. My name is Jim Dusty. Excuse me. By way of introduction, I and my wife Karen have lived in town for over 13 years. Prior to that, as I was retired at that point. By profession, I was an industrial and commercial business evaluator and consultant. I worked for various federal organizations, United States Bankruptcy Court, Internal Revenue Service, the World Bank. In that assignment, I actually went to Romania, doing some assessments after the fall of the Soviet Union. And I traveled throughout Europe and the United States, conducting my business. Vast experience in property valuations, industrial and commercial businesses, valuation of personal property, machinery, equipment, and all of that. So I have a broad range of experience, not only in the knowledge I had with my profession, but also working with very sophisticated banks, law firms, United States Bankruptcy Court, IRS, Resolution Trust. So I came to this town retired, being very thankful for what I accomplished in my career. Also raised 5 children. All of them went to college. All of them went to public school. I was always involved in their school activities and very concerned about the cost of education for my children, both in the town of North Brookfield, where most of my kids went to school in elementary and high school, and then on to college. Very expensive. To dedicate this to our children, to have a background of understanding of how important education is. So that was my background. Now in town here, I got involved right away. I had a lot of ideas about what I could do to contribute to this town. I am on the Warren Fire Department. I was an EMT there. I was a licensed national registered emergency medical technician. I worked with Warren Fire in that capacity for about 8 years. This was when I was 69 years old. And now I am a member of the department as the chaplain of the Warren Fire Department. And that's been a wonderful honor to serve these wonderful people, both Warren Fire and Warren Police for that matter. I'm a constable, was elected constable several years ago, and now I have a very strong interest in continuing to contribute to this town. I know that the housing department is really all about, to me, the quality of life for the residents in Warren Housing. Now, Warren Housing the housing department is, they get their funding from the federal and state government. They're not legally a part of the town, but they're a very integrated part of the town because we supply services to the housing authority, particularly with public safety. The ambulances are up there all the time. The fire department's up there all the time. When thank God there hasn't been any major fires, but that's why this town, even though we're not legally responsible for housing, we don't fund it in any way that I'm aware of. We need to tie the town government, the town services to the housing authority, basically for the quality of life, for you're talking about road care and electrical responsibilities for Board of Health is another thing. We're all integrated into this town. So some people say, well, it's not the town's business. Well, it really is. And so there's a leadership and administrative issue. There seems to be a fast turnover in the full-time employees who get paid to do daily work at the housing, with maintaining proper control of fiduciary responsibilities, taking in rent money, accounting for things, preventive maintenance of all the buildings. We have a very small organization. I think we have 2 people that take care of all of the maintenance in all of the buildings, and they're working way too many hours. So I'll dedicate what I can to working with the rest of the members of the housing authority to input some of my life experiences and my dedication really to the people in this town. It's not one person, it's not one group of people, it's the whole town. And if we can pull together in everything that we do, that's where the real strength comes into this town. And so I'll just promise you that I'll do my very best in this capacity. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dusty. So we'll open up to questions from the audience. Julia.
Yeah, if you could just pass that question, I couldn't
Sure.
hear.
So the question was, what were some of the experiences you learned from your travels and life experience that could help you with the Housing Authority?
Respect people, you know. Don't walk around with a chip on your shoulder. Don't be prideful. Just respect people and listen to people. Very important. You know, so important to listen to all people that have something to say.
Any other questions from the audience? Okay, I'll give you the one from the moderator, Mr. Dusty. The question is, what are the challenges of the Housing Authority that you feel you'd have to address?
I think the day-to-day administration of the responsibilities for managing the Housing Authority, like I mentioned earlier, there are several people that have come in there, and I believe there's an opening right now for a full-time manager of the Housing Authority, and it pays very well. People from out of town have come, stayed a short while, then went back. So I'd like to find out what's going on with that and what I can do with the board to make it a more attractive, more stable position so that the work that needs to be done can be done.
Very good. Okay, thank you, Mr. Dusty.
Thank you very much.
Next position would be Cemetery Commissioner, and we have two candidates, if they're both here, Stephen Crystal and Susan Broder. Could you please come to the stage? Yep, you can take a seat while we'll go back and forth. All right, and Stephen, I listed you first, so you get a chance to make your 5-minute statement.
Steve first?
Steve, okay. Yes.
You first.
Hello, everybody. I'm Steve Crystal. I've lived in this town for almost since 2006. I've met a lot of you in the building. I've got a pretty vast leadership and management experience. I went to UMass Dartmouth, and I worked with the airline industry for many years, where I got a lot of leadership there. I worked for investment companies. I've worked for training companies such as Six Flags New England, Putnam Investments. So I have a vast leadership experience. One of the things when I moved here, sadly my wife passed away, and I saw some areas of opportunity to run for position at the cemetery, which I've done, and I'm so proud of what we did as a team and the people that are on the board right now, and also Jim McKean, who's done a phenomenal job. So some of the best practices from my travels throughout the state, I go to a lot of towns and municipalities, but one of the first opportunities that I saw was, I don't think Jim had the right tools to do the job. He does great work, but he didn't have the right tools. He was using his own truck. So one of my thoughts was putting the position that he had under the highway department. And that's been outstanding because now Jim has the access and the tools to do his jobs, from all the equipment. Jeremy was able to get him a surplus truck so he can do his job and not use his own personal vehicle. So that's that. He's got new mowers, new equipment, access to the highway equipment, which he never did, and Jim's able to do some great projects. Recently, he just seeded the right by the Veterans flag, which is just phenomenal. We also got a bucket truck. So now they did a bunch of the tree trimming, not hiring an outside contractor, which has been great. One of the other biggest things is we have one of the best mechanics around in Wally. Instead of sending that equipment out to be serviced and cost a lot of money to the cemetery, now we do it in-house. So we have all the resources of the highway department, which most towns in this state are under under the highway department cemetery. So that's another great thing that we did as a team and stuff like that. Another thing, we started getting into crack sealing and paving. So instead of letting these deteriorating, we're being proactive in getting things done and done it the right way. So we're not going to have to do it. Since there's not much traffic, it will last a lot longer. And we've started that process, which I'm very proud of too. The next biggest thing, we are using grub control and fertilizer. A lot of the grass was destroyed by grubs, and through the team, we have grub control coming in, and the grass will be coming out looking really nice. What else? We also created rules of the cemetery. There were no such rules in the team. All of us created rules, so we try to enforce those rules and make sure they work, but we have signs with the rules, and I think they've worked pretty well up until this moment. Road signs, also, we've named streets, and so when people come to visit their loved ones, they know where they're buried, and they also know how to get there, because we have street signs, which I thought was a wonderful idea that we did. One of the biggest things that, and I looked to Cindy for this, Cindy Baxter, cleaning the stones. So stones, they've deteriorated, and we've gone and started cleaning them so we can see the people that are buried there from many, many years ago, and I think that's a phenomenal idea that we're doing too. I personally have donated a number of trees trying to make the complex look a lot better and nicer. And I hope that you would vote for me because we have a lot of great plans coming up in the future.
Okay. Thank you, Stephen. Susan, you may take the microphone, make your statement.
Okay, good evening. I'm Susan Broder, and I'm running for Cemetery Commission also. I am dedicated to cemetery preservation. I've always had a thing for cemeteries. I've always spent a lot of time visiting cemeteries in different areas whenever I go on a vacation or travel. I'm really interested in safeguarding the cemetery property and assets. I want to ensure that the cemetery is kept and maintained to be an attractive and appropriate burial site for loved ones. And I want to help oversee the care and improvements to the ground and make improvements to the grounds. So I want it to be a place where when people come, it's peaceful and well maintained and keep up with the times, but honor the community's history of it also. So about me, I am a third generation to raise my family in Warren. My husband's great-grandparents lived here, so my kids are actually going to be the fifth generation of Broders to live in this town. So I have tons of family members in the cemetery. My grandparents raised their children here and owned and operated a dairy farm on Little Rest Road. And I've owned a home in Warren for over 31 years. I'm married for over 22 years and raised all three of my children here. I've always been so intrigued by the cemeteries. I do visit them every chance I get, including the town cemetery I'm in almost every day. So I do observe what goes on, and I just want to help keep it the way it should be, preserve it. I think that it just needs a little bit of upkeep like any other place. The roads, keep the roads nice, keep the grounds maintained, keep the dead trees, trimmed or cut, and just the basics. And I'm really committed to ensuring that the cemetery continues to be the sacred place for those at rest and those that visit, because I believe it's extremely important to honor those who have passed, and I want to make sure that the cemetery remains a beautiful, peaceful environment. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll open up questions, and you can ask the general question for both or direct it to one of them or both of them. Any questions from the audience for Cemetery Commission? Okay, I have a follow-up question. Oh, sorry, Derek, thank you. Okay, so Stephen, we'll start with you. The question again, opening up the cemeteries for community service and groups such as that.
Well, I'm 100% behind that. Anything we can do to get people to come to the cemetery and see the history of the cemetery, even from hikes or walks, or it'd be phenomenal. We're very much open to anything like that to get to see what a wonderful cemetery that we have here in Warren.
Thank you. Susan?
I'm also interested in that too, because I was a Girl Scout leader in town for over 5 years, and my girls were always in the Memorial Day parade. I taught them to honor and respect always. So they were very involved with going there. We used to go there and do rubbings on the stones. And like I said, I visit the cemetery almost daily to walk. And there are several other people who use it for walking because it's so peaceful and nice. There's no traffic, and it's just a beautiful place. So I'm definitely interested in having some community service. You're welcome.
Thank you. Stella? Okay, so the question again was steps for improvement or appropriate burial place and plans for improvement. And Sue, you got the microphone. We'll start with you on that one.
Okay, so I just think to keep it beautiful, like do some plantings like they just did recently, and little things, nothing too major to be very costly, but just to keep it nice. Mostly the grounds maintenance keeps it nice, and people do decorate the stones a lot. There are a lot of things on there. People have been planting things around them, so it is a beautiful place. Am I missing the second part? What was the second part of the question?
Plans to improve?
Basically that. So planting things and just keeping it beautiful and making sure that when the people put stuff on the graves that it is removed in a timely manner so they don't get ruined or blown away or anything and cause more not look good.
Thank you.
As far as myself goes, we've made tremendous improvements in the last few years with the team that I'm on right now. Again, all the things we've done, from repaving to getting the lawn in better shape, putting new trees in, to trimming the trees, taking dead trees out. We're doing so many things to improve it. The stones are another important thing we're trying to history. It's very important to history for all of us on the team to maintain. And even though people don't have loved ones there anymore, we have these stones so we can celebrate with the people that have been buried there in the history from Warren. Some of the other things we want to, again, clean the stones, maintaining the infrastructure. I think that's really important too, from pavement to crack sealing to reseeding to cutting the trees, as I said. One of the things that the team has talked about is expanding the cemetery, looking for other areas of opportunity for the future residents, future children that want to be buried there. And so that's another opportunity that we're looking into. So we have a lot of plans for the future, and I hope to continue doing that with the team.
Okay. Thank you, Susan and Stephen. Okay. And on the subject of cemeteries, working with Veterans Agent Michelle Durkee, Quabog middle schoolers, along my civics classes, will again be placing flags for Memorial Day on the cemetery for the veterans. We'll be doing that May 12th. Okay, our next candidate, Sewer Commissioner, 3 years, Joan Lavigny? No? Okay. Stella, next slide. Okay, so then going to the assessor position for a 3-year term, we have 2 candidates, and if they're both here, they can come up on stage together. John Feeney and James Dusty.
So, I already gave you my background. I'll just talk a little bit about why I want to be on the assessors board. My background, as you know, is assessing value of everything, ships, boats, planes, factories, million square foot buildings, everything. So I know a little bit about property valuation. I also know about taxes. It says I pay taxes all the time, like we all do. I know about real estate taxes. I know about increased real estate taxes in this town, and the assessment of our property goes hand in hand with what we pay for taxes. The assessors don't determine tax, but they gather up information. Outside organizations come in, professionals who evaluate the value of our property, and then through formulations of some sort, we figure out if there's going to be a tax increase or no increase or a reduction. I'd like to see a reduction someday. So it's really important. And since I'm retired, I have a lot of time available. We've got plenty of time. And this isn't a dress rehearsal of life. It's the real thing. We can't do things over. So I want to use my time to the best of my ability and offer my talents, in my judgment, and my wisdom. I've noticed in the assessor's office, there's one woman in particular. She's there all the time. All the time. I don't think she even gets paid. There's a position open for a full-time assessor with credentials, experience and training and education about assessing property. I don't think that exists in this town. Maybe it did in the past. We're sort of like floating around with a ship without a rudder. And how important is this? I mean, really, it affects all of us, what we're paying for our taxes. And so I'm not an expert in how the assessor's office runs, but I know value and I know the importance of really getting good information so that when our taxes do go up, we all understand why. And we don't understand why. A lot of us don't anyway. It's just like, oh, our property values are way up now, so our taxes are going up. Well, how did that get there? So are there things that can be done differently? I don't know, but I can promise you we need someone there that's on a payroll, getting paid, and that has the credentials as an assessor. And then the board, we put our 2 cents worth in, and hopefully we have good sound judgment, and so that the taxpayers and residents of this town can maybe not like a tax increase if there is one, but at least understand how we got there. So that's why I'm running for this office.
Okay, thank you. I'll open up to the audience for questions for James. Yes, go ahead.
Pete Rossi, I have a question. How often you do get certified in your assessments? Because to be an assessor, you have to be certified to do this. And it's a requirement that you have to be tested on. And are you going to be dedicated to do this? Because some of the failures in the past with our assessors were not doing the certification.
I can promise you this, if I get elected, I will do everything that I can to get trained and certified and educated about what this is all about. And, this is what I promise you I will do. I hope that answers the question.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else from the audience with a question? Yes.
Mr. Dusty running for 2 different offices. If he's elected to both, how would one impact the other?
Okay. So again, Mr. Dusty, 2 positions, how would you manage that?
Well, I'm retired. I'm in really good health, a lot of energy. I love this town, and I'll be there. I'll be there. The alternative is to be, someone once told me I go overboard on everything in life, and I'd rather be that way than the opposite. So, as I said, this is not a dress rehearsal. This is life. We don't get to do it over again. I have the energy. I have the life experience. I have the intelligence. And I have the desire to add something of benefit to this town. So, I can't say anything other than that. And plus, the person that's running against me is not here. don't remember ever even seeing him in the building. And I'm not knocking him, I'm just saying he's not here. And I also know that in the assessor's office, there's one woman doing most all of the work. We don't have a paid employee there. And the same thing with housing. I'm the only one who's running for the office. So if it's not me, I don't want to end my life thinking I could have done more. And as long as I'm standing and in good health and my brain's working, I'm here.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Mr. Dusty. Stella, next one. And my moderator question would have been redundant from what was asked, so that's why we bypassed that one. Okay, Quabog Regional School District. This election is at large. You may vote for any 4 candidates. The 2 candidates with the highest vote totals from each town will be elected. This is a 3-year term. So if we have any of these candidates here tonight, they may come on stage. Matthew Peliquin, Phil Landine, Travis Matheson. Okay. Next position, Parks Commissioner, 3-year term, Annie Norton. Okay. So it brings us to our final position, and perhaps the main show here. We've got position of Selectman, a 3-year term, and we have candidates Karen Dusty, Ray Capaco, and Daniel Thibodeau. Ladies and gentlemen. So again, we'll go with a 5-minute opening statement for each candidate and then open up for questions. Karen, you're up.
I think this is already on, right? I'm Karen Dusty. My husband told you quite a bit about us. To give you a little bit more background, I have been the secretary for the Highway Department, and then I went from there to the Selectman office, and I was the administrative assistant to the Selectman for 5 years, and also for the town administrator. So I know every department. I know basically what they do. I support them. I love them. You can't get a better group of people than what we have in town working for us. Also, I am a mother of 5 children and a stepmom of 5 children. And together we have 32 grandchildren. And everybody goes, oh my gosh, that's okay. They all don't live around here. So we only don't see them very often. As far as my background goes, I was a co-owner to my late husband for 26 and a half years of building multi-million-dollar homes. So I know how to run a business. I know how to do the accounting. I know what needs to happen. I love this town. And this is the longest place. I have lived in this town longer than any other town in my life. So I am dedicated to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Ray? Raymond?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Ray Capaco. I'm running for selectman, as you all know. A little bit about who I am. Moved into town in '99 with my wife, and I have 8 children myself, a couple of grandchildren as well. Well, I didn't know how long we'd get to speak tonight, so I'll have to ad-lib here a little bit. When I was a young man, I worked for the first 5 years in my first real job, other than just doing small jobs, on a farm. So I'm have a great affinity for the rural community that we're in. That may be a question that comes up later about what we like about the town, but had a great time working on a dairy farm. Then I went to high tech. I did that for almost 20 years. Some of the old timers may know Digital Equipment Corporation, and I worked for a couple other Fortune 500 companies as well, doing technical support. After that, my wife and I ran a business out of our home here in town, Farmhouse Family Bakers. Great way to meet people and have a good time and have stressful times too. Difficult way to make a living. And then in my early 40s, I decided what I was going to do for the rest of my life, and I decided to become a nurse. I love helping people, and for over 16 years, I worked as a nurse at Bay State, at Mary Lane, and then at Wing after they closed Mary Lane down. I'm much more conversational than presentational, so I'm going to use my cheat sheets here. Bear with me. The reason why I'm running is I feel that I want to bring a higher level of accountability and sensibility and community engagement to the Selectman's office. I think that's been an area that needs improvement, and that's my intention, is to do that. One of the problems we have in our town here is what I perceive is what I call a difference between discerning what our needs are and what our wants are. That's very important. Of course, everybody's perspective is going to vary on that. Some people think that what they need is really what someone else would call a want. And I think the only way to get through that is to have honest discussions, be willing to call a spade, and just look at the objective data to understand what the difference is between those two things. Like Mr. Dutzy said, I'm also retired. That's not perfectly true. I still do some part-time nursing work privately, but I am basically retired. I have the time, I have the energy, I have the inclination to serve the town in a meaningful way. Some of you may know, some of you may not. So some of my background. I've been on the Finance Committee for the last 3 years, chairing it for the last 2. For the last 3 years, I've been on the Capital Planning Committee. I know the needs, I know the stresses that the town's facing with its finances. If anyone has questions, please contact me, raymondcapaco@gmail.com. I'll be happy to talk to you either in person or via emails. I'm just going to be blunt. I don't have anything to hide. I say it like I see it. I call a spade a spade. There's been a competency issue in our select board, a big one. I feel I have the competency to bring that select board up to the next level of performance for the town. I can get along with everyone. Tell a quick little anecdote. Last year when I was running for planning board, I'm also on the planning board. I've been on the planning board for last year. When I was running for planning board last year, I was doing some street campaigning. I met a gentleman. I've got a question for you. What do you think about, I'll leave the specific material out. I didn't even get a chance to really give any kind of an answer. Half of a sentence out, turns around, complete disdain. I got the one finger salute. I met this man again this year when I was out street campaigning for selectmen. Started out the same way, but I said, I remember you from last year. Let's talk. We spent 15 minutes talking. We were in agreement about 90, maybe 95% of the issues that were being brought up. He goes on his way. He comes back 15 minutes later. We spend another 10 minutes talking. We have much, much more in common than we did difference. This man was completely contrary to me last year. But once we had a chance to sit down and talk, we found out how much we do have in common. Just one anecdote, I could give you many more to show that I'm willing to talk and work with anyone. Another issue which I think is huge. I've been to nearly every select board meeting for the last 3 years. I've been vocal at very many of them. I've been to every school committee meeting for the last 3 years as well. I'm sorry to say, I'm the only person from the public that's been there, with a rare exception here and there, very rare. I've been to the budget subcommittee meetings as well. I understand the school's needs. I understand the town's needs. Those two things have to be married. The largest single item in the budget, over 50%, is the school. I'm the person who knows those issues. I have a great working relationship with the school committee, with the administration, Steve Duff, with the finance director, Nikki Gonzalez. It didn't start out that way. One of my other anecdotes about how 3 years ago I was the cranky, angry man in the room with the school committee.
Mr. Capaco,
Is that my 5 minutes?
Yeah, you're over the 5, so you could probably come back to some of the
Very
open
good.
questions. So
All right.
thank you.
Thank you.
Daniel Thibodeau.
Okay, I'm a newcomer for most people in this town. I've been here for only 7 years. I came in from Leominster, Massachusetts. My whole life has been dedicated to volunteering in communities, especially in Leominster when I was there. I was one of the youngest members of the Emergency Management Association there, and ran through the ranks all the way up to director of the Emergency Management Agency in the town of Leominster for a while. I moved here 7 years ago simply because the town got too big for me. Okay, with the growth, the sudden spurt growth in the town, along came a lot of riffraff and everything else that kind of changed my look on the town. So we decided as a family unit to move out to another area where we were comfortable, and we were highly involved with the Molly Bish situation when it happened. And that was one of the reasons why we decided to move out to Warren, so we continue to help the town heal from that, and help the Bishes with that situation. My daughter, I have one daughter, she started off looking for a job or an education in child care and health. Went to school for that, changed to a legal profession, went down to Washington and stayed there for a couple of years and got her degree in legal for children. Moved back out here to Massachusetts. She is now graduating next month from Westfield State College with her law degree. Okay, moving on to another college after that to get her final PhD in law. And this is all surrounded by children stemming from the Molly Bish situation. Okay. Being a volunteer most of my life, I would say at least 50 years at this point, I've also been tied to the fire services. I've been in the emergency field for the last, well, I'm going to say I got licensed in 1980, and I'm still currently licensed as of today as an EMT paramedic. Okay. I have a history with a company that I work for. Unlike the other two opponents that I have, I am not retired. I am fully employed. I own part of a company out in Boston, Massachusetts, where we build and maintain power plants and anything that is considered heavy industry. We travel the country, we build power plants, generation plants, everything that powers your electricity at home. And we maintain all of that around the country. Okay. I also work as a confined space rescue manager for clients out in the Boston area. We provide medical services, we provide rescue services, services that your local fire departments are not equipped to handle and cannot handle because of the cost and the insurance that's required for those situations. Okay. Why do I want to run for this office? Basically, when I came to town, I stepped on board to the Board of Health because they had a lot to offer for that, and I was welcomed on board for that right away. And we've got a lot, we did a lot of stuff that we've brought forward into the Board of Health situation that wasn't in place, that should have been in place. There's still a lot more to do. I am currently the chair of the Board of Health, and we're moving forward, making the changes that necessarily have to be made in the department right now. My choice to move forward to Select Board is to bring full transparency to the town of Warren. There are situations that are there that I agree with, but I don't think it's right for this town at this point in time. Okay? And the town needs to understand that, yes, we need to move ahead, but we need to move ahead at a moderate rate so we don't hurt the people with unnecessary taxes. Okay? Other situations that I come in contact with on a regular basis, I get phone calls from the local town committees, from the residents of the town, from the departments in town to address certain situations for Board of Health that fall under the Board of Health regulations. Sometimes it works out in the favor of the person that is making the complaint. Sometimes the complaint is an invalid complaint. One of the things that we're looking at currently is moving ahead with a farmer's right to farm act in the town of Warren. Okay, and that's going to be coming up pretty soon.
Okay, Mr. Thibodeau, that's time. So we can open up to questions. If you could return to your seat, we'll have the audience ask questions again through me, the moderator, and you can direct it to all three candidates or one in particular. So this time, open forum for questions. Yes.
I'd like to know, Mr. Moderator, how each one of these candidates plans on reining in the frivolous spending that we have. I mean, we spend a lot of money on furniture, a lot of money on updating things that really don't need to be updated, while our buildings are in poor maintenance. We have a town hall down the street that you can't even go in anymore, because for years and years and years, and I've been in town 50 years now, it was not maintained. I want to know how we're going to cut down on the wasteful spending that is not a long-term thing and take care of the business at hand.
Okay, thank you. So again, reining in wasteful spending, and this we'll start with Karen on this question.
That's a great question. Thank you, Cindy. I think that the thing is we need to really look at each department and find out and go in and assess what they have, what they truly need, and then we can decide how to help them, but yet not overspend.
I think the best I can answer that is going through issues as they come up and understanding, is it a need or is it a want? And that's going to be a judgment call, of course, like I mentioned, but it has to be each specific instance of spending case by case. I don't think there's any specific answer I could give without having a specific instance to speak to. Needs versus wants.
And I kind of agree with Ray. It is a needs versus wants situation. But I also, being in industry, I have to provide a payroll for my people. I have to provide equipment for my company. I have to provide clients with budgets that we have to stay within. Okay? Not exceed the budget. The client wants to have something added into the budget, then it's going to be an at cost for that client. Unnecessary purchases cannot happen when you have a solid budget in place. So again, it boils down to needs versus wants. If you're building a building, it's nice to have A, B, C, and D. But do you need A, B, C, and D in that building? Is it just something you want, or is it something that has to be there? Okay, again, it's needs versus want that dictates.
Thank you.
If I could just add one quick comment too. Having foremost in every decision that it's the taxpayers' money that we're spending. The town doesn't have any money, it's the taxpayers' money.
Thank you. Other questions? Right here in the white vest. Yeah.
Hi,
Thank you. So again, the question, we'll start with you, Karen. The biggest need of the town, and how would you meet that?
I feel that there's a couple of really big needs that we have. One of the biggest needs is to find a place for our police department because of where they are and what they need. I would say that's one, but I think it needs to be affordable, and I think it needs to be realistic, which is not on the table right now. I think the other thing that is a very big need is our schools. They have needs, but they also we need to be affordable for them and be realistic. Thank you.
I'm going to piggyback on that. Those are the first two things I had at Karen as well, so I'm glad we're in agreement about that. Absolutely, this whole issue of the proposed safety complex is a non-starter. I'm just coming out and saying that right up front. It's a non-issue. We can't afford a $25 to $30 million safety complex. We do need to do something for the police. That's a discussion that needs to be had, which hasn't been had so far, and that's one of the things I've been most vocal with our current select board about, and that's one of the biggest reasons why I'm running this year. Spending and cost containment, always. I'll bring my years of experience with the Finance Committee, capital planning to bear on that. That's a never-ending thing. It is one of our biggest needs. It'll continue to be so for forever, actually. The third thing is the community involvement. Actually, going back just real quick on the schools, because that is a big issue. That's so in flux. I'm not going to address that right now because it's such a complex issue, and I already have occupied too much of my time. But the third issue is the community involvement. We need to find ways to incorporate and be more responsive from the town leadership with the citizens of the community. I'll do everything I can to promote people to be involved, to help them to be involved without it being a burden to them, if at all possible, to understand how they can serve the community. And so those are the things I think are the most important for the town.
Thank you. Mr. Thibodeau?
Okay, the biggest issue or concerns I have are, again, piggybacking off of Karen and Ray, is public safety complexes. It's a big thing going across every community in the state right now. It's not just here. There are other communities looking at the same situation. Okay. They are a nice thing to have, a nice dream to want, to put everybody under one roof. But is it a feasible thing to do for every single community in the state of Massachusetts? And I'm going to tell you, no, it's not. Okay? We need to have an actual police station, number one, that we can work out of. Okay? And we don't have that currently. We need to address that right up front. Okay? The fire department has time where they can stay where they are for now. But there are situations out there where there are grants and there is excess money out there that we can go after to improve these facilities. Okay? You can look and you can find them, and there are other communities out there that I know of one right now that just picked up a $500,000 grant for their police station. The money is there if you know where to look. Some of it is a match, some of it is a 75%. Okay, but the money is there, it is available. We need to find out where to go to get it to resolve the situations with police stations and with fire stations. Okay, and that is also equipment for both. The money is available. Okay, we just need to go out there and actively get it. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you all for your answers. Open up to another question for any of the candidates on stage. Down front.
My question is, in the town of Warren, to make sure that government is being run smoothly, I'm asking the candidates, they think that departments such as Parks Department, the maintenance of the Parks Department, should be bid out every so many years to make sure that it's being done in an efficient manner, cost effective. Because for years, and the town's been taking care of it. I took care of the parks years ago when the town used to bid it out. We did it for 5 years. So I didn't know it used to be done out there, but it hasn't been done in a long time. There's a lot of people doing maintenance now and lawn care that are town. I think that you should ask the candidates if they're being paid of doing periodically bidding out some of these department jobs to see if we're being efficiently run.
Okay, very good. So again, question, as selectmen, would you be open to open bids on jobs throughout the town, especially in the Parks Department? And Karen, we'll start with you.
I think that's a very interesting concept to do, knowing that the parks maintenance and cemetery maintenance are done now by the highway. And I don't think it's taken away from the highway, but that would be definitely something that would be interesting to look into. I mean, I would be not opposed to looking into that at all.
Okay. Raymond?
I'll concur with that. It is a good idea to do that. Again, if nothing else, just to do a cost assessment at the very least, to see if it's even a possibility. I suspect it is. I think it's a great idea and would actually support moving forward with that.
Okay. Mr. Thibodeau?
Yeah, I'm going to concur with that also, but I'm also going to go a step further and state that I think each individual department needs to be audited by an outside firm, not the same auditor that the town uses. That way there we have a clear and concise third-party opinion as to what needs to happen.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? You're right here.
I understand that the town has restricted increases to 2.5%. I'm wondering why, or how does the members of the board feel they should handle that? Should all people be held at 2.5% as it was mentioned, or can we pick and choose those that we want to give extra money to?
Okay. So again, the question is related to the 2.5 proposition, and we come.
No, an increase. The people working for the town get a 2.5%.
Okay, I understand. Okay, so the increase in salaries? Okay, thank you. So Karen, we'll start with you on that question.
Okay, I understand the question about the 2.5%. And when we started doing assessments in the town with the town administrator and the boards for all employees, they had the right to increase if somebody was exceptional in their work. They, from the secretaries clear up through, but the elected officials, that doesn't have anything to do with it. But it is just people that are hired have the right to increase it from the 2.5%.
So Cindy, there's a STEP program that's, I don't know if you could consider it contractual, but that's what you're speaking of. I may not understand the question well. Could someone get an additional step other than the way the program's set up right now? With each year there's a step, and then after a certain number of longevity years, you may get a longevity increase as well with the step. So if it means that any one individual employee of the town, as opposed to elected officials or contractual department head positions, could they be double stepped? Is that the question?
Go back to the.
I'm on the cemetery commission, so I know we've been asked to keep it at 2.5%, and that's not necessarily what's happening to a couple of other, I think there's 3 people that are questioned or that have been mentioned to me that are getting more than the 2.5%. So I wonder, are we going to, I used to work in a company, a commercial company as a shipper. We were told you're getting 4.5% or you're getting 45
Okay, so I think that clarifies the question. We're looking for more.
The answer to your
Equity.
question is yes, for myself. And some positions are contractually negotiated, and those are going to be, those can't be held to the STEP program that the normal town employees have to abide by. So, yeah, there could, but I believe, as Karen said, there could be exceptions to that if someone was doing an exceptional job and they merited that increase due to something extraordinary. That's in this year's budget. There's an example of that where there's an employee who, it's kind of complicated. I don't want to waste time on it right now, but they're being provided a double step. There's a stipend they were getting that's being adjusted to help accommodate that double step. So it's not really a true double step. It's kind of like a step and a half sort of a thing. But contractual obligations are outside of the scope of the question. And other than that, all the town employees have to follow the step system that's in place. I certainly am committed to that. Yeah, Karen was just clarifying that a little bit. Elected officials are a different category. There's contractual obligations, for example, the fire chief and the police chief. There's elected positions that are town votes on, and those could be 0, they could be 50%, whatever the town agrees on. And then there's employees that are under the 2.5 step program that we've been talking about.
I'm going to have to say yes to your question with the exceptions to any contractual requirements. I deal with unions a lot. Unions are a contractual requirement for me, okay? In my company, and that's not, I'm going to throw out what we do. It's not what the town does, and I'm not saying that's what the town should do, okay? It's just an example. Our company takes a blanket 3% cost of living increase for everybody in the company, whether you're a union or non-union worker, okay? Everybody gets the same. On the contractual side for the union has an agreement with the contractor, and it's a nationwide agreement, that we give you the 3%, but on top of that, because of dues and everything else, we give you another step up on a cost of living that goes across the board for the union people, okay? So everybody understands the process that if you're a non-union, this is your coverage, this is what you're getting. There is also a place, a process in place where if you are an exceptional employee, the company will reward you at that time and give you another increase over that cost of living. But for the basic operational procedures in the company, cost of living is for everybody on one level. If you're contractual, it's another step above that.
Okay, another question? In the back, yes. Okay. Questions regarding to how many positions you can hold and avoid conflict of interest laws. So, Karen, we'll start with you.
I asked the same question to the town clerk, Lori Stockley, and she said that she cannot stop anybody from running for election and being elected. But there are certain, when I checked mass laws, there are certain positions that you cannot hold if you hold another position, but they are few and far between. So, and personally, I am on the Conservation Commission, and if I do get elected as the selectman, I will resign from conservation.
Anyone who followed me last year, I was very public about this. I feel it's a conflict of interest for anyone on the select board to be involved in any significant board or committee in the town. I am on the planning board currently. If I'm fortunate enough to gain the town's support and be voted in as a selectman, I will also resign from the planning board. Not immediately. I don't want to leave the planning board in any kind of a situation where they might require a vote of mine may or may not be required, but it would be probably within 2 to 3 months. I feel that is a conflict of interest for anyone on the select board to be holding multiple elected offices.
I also am currently chairman of the Board of Health. I also checked with certain people before I put my hat in the ring, and checked on conflict of interest laws. Like Karen said, for certain positions, there is a conflict of interest. Board of Health does have a conflict of interest with Select Board if there are issues that come up with the Board of Health, which means I would have to recuse myself from the room while that situation is being discussed. That way there I can maintain both boards at the same time. I don't have plans on leaving the Board of Health right now. We're in a position right now where we're moving things around, moving things ahead to put ourselves in a better position than where we are right now, and I need to be there for that.
Thank you. Another question from the audience. We're getting close to the end of the time. I have a few from myself here at the end. Stella, yes. Okay. So Raymond, again, the questions related to your concern about competency on the board and what makes you more qualified.
Difficult question for me to answer. I really am not a politician. I really am not, even if I might sound like it at times. I will speak for myself. I suspect it's true for everyone up here. The self-promotional aspect of this seeking elected office is fairly uncomfortable. I think we're all in agreement on that. I have many times, literally dozens of times, been approached, unsolicited. You have so much common sense. You're the only reasonable one who's speaking on this issue. That's just legitimate, objective input. I do think I have common sense. I do think I'm reasonable. But I started to talk before about being able to work with a wide variety of people. I'll take the opportunity here. I was the angry man in the room with the school committee. Someone was offended, I think very unnecessarily, but I took them at face value. I offered them a personal apology. They accepted it. I told them, since I had made comments that they found offensive in a public meeting, I would make a public apology. I did that at the school board meeting. Since then, they invite me to sit at the budget subcommittee meetings at the table. Of course, I can't sit there on the regular school committee meetings, but they went from raise basically just a thorn in our side to now they welcome my presence there on that committee and giving my input on it. I am a reasonable person. I do have a lot of self-awareness, a lot of, like everyone up here and some of the other candidates that have spoken tonight, I do have the life experience. My work as a nurse, I know how to care. I know how to listen. I know how to steward resources. I know how to work together collaboratively with other team members, and I know how to put that collaboration into action. And so that's why I feel that there's a competency issue that I can help improve.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, these final two questions I want to get to, and I'm going to give each person less than 2 minutes here to respond, and we'll go down the row, and then we'll kind of have to wrap things up. But the first question for all three, and this will start with Karen, is what is your vision for Warren? Do you see it remaining as a rural town where many commute to work in Worcester or Springfield, or growing to incorporate more businesses, jobs, and growth?
Okay, this is a hard question for me because I know what this town could be, and I would love to see that. It will never be a Springfield or a Worcester. It won't. And I love this town the way it is. I love it that it is rural. I love it that we have what we have. I feel that can it grow? Yes, but not extensively. It just can't. That isn't what it is. And people come here because of what it is and how it is. And the people here stay here because of what it is.
Thank you. Ray.
My vision for the town is pretty much what our town's master plan has laid out. If you don't know what the master plan is, go to the town website and just search for master plan. It's worth reading, and it's mandatory reading for every department head and leader in the town. Rural, drive-through, bedroom community. That's what we are, that's what we should be, and that's my vision for the town.
Okay.
Okay, my vision for the town is a little bit different than my other two candidates here, our opponents here. I moved from a large town, large city, okay? 45+ thousand people. I saw it grow. It grew too fast. It grew too big. And like I said earlier, along with the growth comes all the riffraff, okay? I don't want to see that here. This is a nice, and that's one of the reasons why I moved here. It's a nice, quiet, rural community. People know people, okay? I'd like to keep it that way, but with a moderate growth rate, where some businesses come in here and actually help with the tax base, okay, but not impose a strong city-like environment. Build or allow businesses to move in that can fit into the fabric of the community itself. Maintain the landscaping, maintain the small town feel. It's accomplishable to do that. You can do it. Other communities have done it. Okay. I'd like to see a grocery store in town. Not a large one, a small one that we can go to instead of traveling 25, 30 minutes away to go grocery shopping. Okay. Stuff like that can bring more life into the community, but keep it at a level where we're not considered a city. We're still that small town, rural town.
Okay, thank you. Back to Karen for the final question for each candidate. If you could respond to this in maybe 30 seconds or less in a statement. And we'll end on this note. Give your thoughts about what you like best about Warren, its best quality.
No, the best quality. Let's see. I made a note. Hang on. The people and the camaraderie between the departments in town. I've had the experience these guys haven't had. And I'll just say real quickly that I've worked with the departments and the camaraderie and have seen it. And having worked with the administrative assistant with the select board and the town administrator, I know the business owners, and I can relate to them. I know all of the committees, the boards, and the commissions. I can state that all the people that serve in this town are outstanding. And that's what I love about the town, is just the people.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for...
Raymond?
Thank you for the compliment, Karen.
You're welcome.
Being someone who is involved in the town. All kidding aside, Georges and Masons, the Quebec Regional School District, I'm going to keep this in 30 seconds. All the good things they're doing for our kids, both academically and extracurricularly. Being a member in the town for Pathfinder Vocational School. If you want to hear more about what's good about both those school systems, see me afterwards. I'll be happy to elucidate more. I like it that we're in a small town. I already talked about that, the rural community. And I like it that Warren is halfway to everywhere. A little reference to our master plan that I promoted just a moment ago.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Thibodeau?
Okay, I too, being a newcomer into the town, relatively new, 7 years, I too have adopted the best thing about this community is the people. Okay, everybody seems to be willing to help out another person. Okay, in my book, that goes a long way. I already told you, I've been a volunteer for my whole life. and it's going to end up that way, put me in the grave. I volunteered my life away. But that's me. I do things for people. I don't expect things in return, and I see a lot of that in this community. So my biggest thing, why I moved here, was because of the people.
Okay, thank you. Next slide. Okay, we're going to end with the questions. We're going to wrap this up. We got 8 o'clock. That was the time limit. We are going to have a final picture with all the candidates. Stella, one more slide, please. And we'll just end, again, looking at last year's reports on the elections. I came across this, and I want to stress that we have, you have 4,102 registered voters in town, and there are 321 ballots cast in last year's election for an 8% turnout. And my commentary on that is just that there's so many important things going on, as these candidates have mentioned, in local town politics. We're talking millions of dollars, taxpayer money, services, things that affect your quality of life. And we really need to do better than 8%. And everyone, hopefully this gets the vote out. Talk to your friends, family, neighbors about voting, and show out on May 5th. Stella, next slide, please. And there's where you can vote, and the times, and make your voices heard. Okay? Let's give everyone a round of applause again. Nice job tonight. Thank you. If I could have the candidates down front, we'll take a picture with Mr. Velez.
Joe, if I could, real quick, I just want to extend thanks to you and your students who are here, and on behalf of all the candidates. I don't want this to be a Ray thing. All candidates are grateful for the chance for Travis and his crew to be here to record it as well. So thank you to you guys.
Yep, my pleasure. Thank you. Good job, you guys.